Okay guys, welcome to the second episode of Terrier Talk, where today we're going to cover markers. What markers are, why you want them, and what ones you would want for your pet terrier. So markers are a thing you'll often hear dog trainers talk about. They often pop up in like reels on Instagram and things like that. And what it is a system to tell your dog that they've done the right thing, that they've done the wrong thing, or to maybe even just indicate something specific to them. The most important marker, or the one you'll see used most often, is when somebody's telling the dog that they've done the right thing and then they're going to get a reward for it. So this might be something like you tell your dog to sit, they then do the sit, you use whatever your personal marker is. It might be the word yes, or it might be something like a clicker, but people have all sorts of different things that they use to tell the dog at that exact moment, that's what I wanted, that's correct, and then you follow up with a reward. That's a marker in its most simplistic form. Now, why would you want to use one? Well, it does several things, and it does several things that are specifically really, really useful for terriers. So the first thing is it adds a load of clarity to your training, okay? It gives the dog a really clear signal that that's what they were meant to do and that they did the right thing. Because there are loads of different reasons why you might give, a dog food from your hand or put food on the floor or whatever. So it takes that kind of guesswork out for the dog. They know, that moment there, that exact spot, that was what they wanted me to do, and that's what I got my reward for. So that's adding clarity to your training, which for terriers who are easily frustrated is really, really, really useful. So even if you're only going to have like one marker, just having that one like marker to have to mark the moment when they do the right thing is worth doing. As I said, it doesn't really matter what word you use. The marker word I use, and the marker word a lot of people use, is just the word yes, because, well, it just comes out of your mouth, doesn't it? And it makes sense, and it's very obvious to you, what it is that's going on. That said, obviously the dogs don't speak English, so it doesn't matter. You could use the word bananas or the word fish. It doesn't matter, as long as you are consistent. And what I would say is it's worth using something that's not conversational. And if it is conversational, like the word yes, you at least give it, like a yes or some kind of like extra tone or change of tone or kind of direct way of saying it so that it's really clear to the dog that that's what you're doing. Now, if you're going to be a little bit more, if you're going to use your markers for more than just that, which I would do for a pet dog, the other markers that I would use are ones that separate what reward you are going to give the dog, so that it's super clear. Now, this is really, really useful if you have a dog, like a lot of terriers, that's really, really, really motivated and really wants those rewards, okay? And gets very frustrated and stressed when they are not getting those rewards. So to separate what reward they're actually going to get for what they've done also really, really helps them. So I would have two markers, which would be yes, which would mean I was going to give my dog food, and get it, which would mean I'm going to give my dog a toy. And then they know that that's the reward that's coming, instead of waiting to be like, oh, what is? And they will sort of work out in time that they don't have to panic about what's coming or make a guess, because you're going to tell them. So it reduces that frustration, adds clarity to your training. So for a pet dog, I would definitely go down that road, especially if you're rewarding with both food and toys, of separating the two. Now, if you get further into dog training, you can go even more complicated with this, or complicated is maybe not the word, but more complex with a marker system, where you can say to dog, a marker that means go and fetch the toy. You could have a marker that means the toy's with me. You could have a marker that means remain in place, I'm bringing the food to you. Or you could have a marker that means I'm going to throw the food for you. So you can really start to add a load of different things for that dog. Now, for most people training a pet dog for pet dog stuff, you probably don't need to be that complex. Some of you who have got really, really mega drivey terriers might find that adding those extra markers is actually quite helpful. Well, it gives you a little bit more to think about. It actually makes things easier and more I'd say more clear for the dog, which is super helpful if they're very drivey and struggle a lot with frustration. But for the most part, that's what I would have for my pet dog. I would just have 2 kind of like reward markers that would mean one was for food and one was for a toy. Now the other one I would add in for a pet dog is a continuation marker. So just for knowledge, the first 2 are termination markers in terms of like what you would technically call them in dog training. So that would mean that you say to the dog, well done, you've done the right thing, you can stop what you're doing, you can terminate that, and you can take your reward, okay? So I would then add a continuation marker as well, which means to the dog, you're doing the right thing, keep doing it. So that means that I'm not then having to use my termination marker all of the time. Okay, so this might be for something like loose lead walking or adding any kind of duration to behaviours. Like you put your dog in a down, you want them to stay there in that down. You're asking your dog to walk to loose lead and you want them to stay walking to loose lead. And you want to communicate to them that they're doing the right thing, but to keep doing that thing, okay? Not to stop doing it. I use the word good here, so if I was to say to my dog, close, and then walk along, and then I wanted them to stay there, but I wanted to communicate to them, that's it, you're doing the right thing, like, good job. That's probably why I would say good. That's where that marker comes from for me, in my language. So I'm just saying, good job, well done, keep doing it. So again, I'm just helping the dog understand that they're doing the right thing and that they should keep trying and well done. Again, just helping to reduce that frustration for the dog, and keeping the clarity and the communication very clear. Okay, so you've got a very clear system of telling the dog when they're doing the right thing, which is super useful, especially for terriers when they get themselves, frustrated and stressed about that, and they're going, oh, especially if you've got one of those really drivey ones that's, throwing different behaviours at you, going like, I'll try sit, I'll try down, like to get that reward, because that's what they're really looking to get from you. And I say, for a pet dog, when you're doing your training primarily with positive reinforcement, those are the 3 that I would want to have. I think everybody should have, and you can get way more complex with it should you decide to go further into training. The nice thing about those 3 is you can build on them quite easily, and you can add to them if you get further and further into training, or you decide you want to do like more complex things with your dog. The other thing, of course, that you can use is a clicker, and you can use a clicker as the same as any of those. Like you can have a clicker for like food. What I personally tend to use a clicker for is if I am training something where I want the reward to be a little bit extra special. That's actually what the clicker is for my dogs. If I'm doing something where I'm trying to add a little bit of excitement to it, then I will use a clicker for that. And I'll also use it for like training things like scent work and bits and bobs where it's not really an everyday behaviour, it's something that I'm training specifically for, because it gives me loads of precision, so it just gives me that little bit of extra pep, because I've associated higher value rewards with it. And as much as it's fine to carry a clicker with you everywhere, I'm going to be honest, some days I struggle to remember what day of the week it is, never mind carry a clicker with me everywhere. So obviously I've always got my voice with me, so it has that advantage. The disadvantage being that you can mess your voice up in the sense that you can say the wrong thing. So a clicker's more precise, and that's why if I'm trying to train something really specific or precise, then that's why I would bring that clicker out, because it gets rid of that kind of like mistakes that I might make, and makes it very clear and consistent for my dog. So that's very, very basics of marker systems and why it's worth having. It's worth having because it gives you clarity. It's helps you reduce frustration for your dog. It means you don't have to be so quick with your reward. You can mark, and then the dog will be like, okay, I've done the right thing. The reward's on the way, and you can just calm everything down a little bit without having to like get the food in at that exact moment that you're trying to get the dog to do a thing. So that's nice as well. It gives you like a level of allows you to have a level of chill about things. So that's obviously super helpful for a very drivey, easily frustrated dog like a terrier. And it's also giving you essentially like double reinforcement, because the dog's getting the marker and they're going, oh, great, I did the right thing. And then they're getting the reward and going, oh, there's my reward. So you're actually getting an extra level of reinforcement on top of just giving them a reward. So there are loads and loads of advantages to it. And those three basic ones you can build on. I would also, build in potentially a consequence and a kind of mistake marker for a dog, as I was getting more advanced with training. It's definitely something for some pet dogs that can be really, really helpful. But you can build on those in a later time. So there's a course coming, or it's not. I say a course. It's going to be just a little short, like webinar. Is the word? I don't know. Webinar, little mini course on markers, marker systems, how to use them, how to train them, and when you use them, and kind of so you can see one in use in a training session, to give you the idea of how to do this. So if it's not out, make sure you're on the mailing list, and if it is out, go and buy it. And then you can implement marker systems into your training with your terrier, and I think you will definitely see the benefits. So that's markers and why you should use them in the most simple form. And stick with us, join mailing lists, make sure you're ready for the next podcast episode. And if you have any specific requests, something you'd like me to talk about that I can fit into a kind of like 10-15 minute slot, then drop me an email and I will cover it for you. I look forward to speaking to you soon.